You're watching No More News.
Hello, I'm Adam Green with No More News. It's August 29th, 2018. I'm joined today with YouTuber, my friend Matthew North. Thank you, Matthew, for being here.
Thanks for having me on. It's always a pleasure.
Yeah, we're here to do just a quick live stream for you guys because Alex Jones has given his explanation. He's officially responded. In case people didn't know, my video yesterday was a parody. It was satire. It wasn't actually Alex Jones, so in case we fooled anybody, let's clarify that. But so me and Matt are gonna do a review and investigate and give you the truth about Alex Jones's explanation for hashtag #TrannyGate. So first, here, let me get the dual screen and make sure we're all good here. Okay, that's not good. So yeah, we're Matthew North at Matthew North 369 is my guest. The reason I asked him to come on is because he's followed Alex Jones and has does a lot of videos exposing Alex Jones. We talked about him in our interview we did a month or so ago. And I've been giving you a lot of plugs recently. I really love your latest video called Alex Jones is a Psychopath.
And I appreciate that. Thank you.
There it was. Oops, I left it. There we go. Alex, so we're going to play a little bit of that because it kind of ties into everything we've been saying. The narcissistic, the lies, the compromise, the blackmail. We've been speculating all this kind of stuff. And now with this this gift from God, this blessing of karma on Alex Jones, it couldn't have come at a better time to give the final blow to hopefully expose him. Now people are going to understand that he's got a secret like that. He's got some skeletons in his closet and he is compromised, and this would very likely explain all of his dishonorable, traitorous propaganda when it comes to Zionism and Jewish power as a gatekeeper.
Yeah, and I think, let me just say something real quick. I really think this is a godsend, like you said. This is karma, and it's going to take something like this to really wake his cult members out of their trance, because that's what they're in, a trance. They're subconsciously manipulated to the point where Alex can do no wrong. You know, he's like a evangelical preacher, but it's going to, I mean, that's karma. It's going to take something like this to pull them out of it. And just getting this out there, people who think this is silly, it's not. This just shows you that the guy you get your entire paradigm of existence from is a liar and a hypocrite. So, yeah. I mean, that should be enough.
Yeah, I've been getting a lot of comments for my videos covering this issue. A lot of great feedback, obviously, but just some haters as usual and some trolls saying like, "Who cares what he watches?" and like, "This is a distraction. Why don't you talk about the Federal Reserve or 9/11 or something?" It's like, we do talk about all that stuff, but this is like, we're just supposed to let Alex just get away with this and not talk about this? I don't think so. And he's right. A top propagandist that we need to bring down. He's not just some fringe guy. He is a big-time influential propagandist in the world political landscape.
Exactly. He's the guy, in my opinion, the guy who launched the Trump whole Trump movement, the primer that launched that whole thing. It started out of the conspiracy genre there, and he's mainstream. So this is extremely important to expose. Trump right now is the biggest deception, keeping people from the real truth of what's going on, who's really behind the scenes, who's really calling the shots. So it's just very important.
Yeah, Alex is bragging today that he's getting all of his reports to Trump's desk. And I mean, I'm not surprised. They're obviously all in the same matrix, like Zionist, temple cultist, kosher conservative clique.
Yep.
Yeah, all right. So I got Matthew's YouTube up here. We're going to get to the Alex Jones as a psychopath stuff in a minute. But let's just start with Alex Jones's explanation, which is just chock full of lie after lie and tell after tell that he's lying. There was really no explaining out of this. I couldn't think of any out for him. And this was the result. So hopefully this plays. I know this player doesn't work very well in Twitter.
Though it's neck.
Can you hear this,
neck and neck,
Matt?
though. People don't get upset about this. They can win.
Good.
Yeah. And also, what about the
Yeah, I knew it.
Trans
This.
porn on your phone, Alex, or you were going to talk about that?
You can pull
Say
it up
that
on
again?
YouTube.
Okay, where is it on
Trans
YouTube?
porn on your phone.
Type in Alex Jones response to trans porn caller.
Transphobe Alex Jones caught. Alex Jones explains. Okay, maybe 1 minute. Hopefully this will work. Oh, this is the one I saw yesterday. This is even better.
I never sucked any ding dongs.
Oh yeah.
And who cares? Hey, I sucked a golf ball.
Okay, I was looking for this yesterday. I wanted to play this one, so I'm glad that came up. So that's not it, but that's one that I wanted to get lined up. So perfect. So here, let's try this again.
All right. But yeah, this is important to break down because there's a lot of things going on here.
Yeah, he's obviously lying. This is a straight up lie. I showed the tweet yesterday. His wife tweeted essentially like she's so embarrassed that her kids have to see this. She responded to my tweet, and then she did another retweet. I could just show it. Might as well show it, right? It says that Alex has like a fetish, and it's so sad that he attacks them because he has a fetish. Here it is. Oh, that's the deleted one. Oh, I gotta go to my Twitter to find the regular one. Okay, I'll do that in a second. All right, what do we do? Let's try this again. Does this not work for you guys too? These players in Twitter?
Sometimes.
I always have a tough time. I'll find something that's like not on YouTube and it's only there, and I'll try to like screen record it, and over again it'll freeze on me.
The exact YouTube video is caller asks Alex Jones about the trans porn. Which is great because this lady just completely caught him by surprise.
I got to tell you, though, it's neck and neck, though. If people don't get upset about this, they can win.
Yeah. And also, what about the trans porn on your phone, Alex, or you were going to talk about that?
Say that again?
Trans porn on your phone. That's all they keep talking about. And
You know, I saw a couple news articles about that. It's ridiculous. I was like looking up some reporter were trying.
Okay, hold on. So right off the bat,
Yeah.
the very first thing he does is a sign that he's about to lie, and that's he repeats the question back to her. He goes, "What was that? Like, what did you say?" And that's a clear stall tactic. You can look at sites like this, 10 absolute giveaways that someone is lying to you. I've seen this happen so many times. Here, I have it saved here. There it is. Stalling by repeating the question. If you sit down with an employee A and ask, "Did you take credit for B's work?" and then they repeat it back, they're probably lying. It's a stalling tactic to give them time to come up with a believable tale. So I had heard that Jones was deleting everybody from, or blocking everybody from Twitter that was bringing it up to him.
Wouldn't surprise me. Also, I want to point out in that video, this is a nonverbal NLP. He's shaking his head no, but he goes on to say, yeah, it happened, but it was a pop-up. So that's important to understand that too, because his followers are so brainwashed and so subconsciously raped or manipulated that they won't look into it. They just believe whatever Daddy Jones tells them, and they don't need to look into it because he can do no wrong and he's telling you the truth.
And that's why we're doing this video and the truth about Alex's explanation, because he's clearly lying. He's all over the place. It's just lie after lie, even conflicting lies. So we're just going to break them down. And I have another clip, just so you know, Alex has done this before. When my buddy Greg McCarran from The Antidote called in, who him and Jeremy Roth-Kushel, his co-hosts, have both called in and called out Alex Jones. But watch Alex do the same thing, kind of like when somebody says something hardcore to him, he pretends not to hear it to give him a little chance to think of his lie and his spin. So here's that.
Director 2 days after.
Girl, you don't want to talk about Israel. You don't want to talk about the United States and Saudi Arabia and radical Islam.
Okay, you just yelled that so fast. What'd you say?
Said you don't want to talk about these things because implicates Israel. It doesn't implicate Saudi Arabia. It doesn't implicate the United States. It doesn't implicate radical Islam. And that is your Achilles heel, Alex, as my co-host Jeremy Ross Trussell pointed out a year and a half ago when he called into this show.
All right. Well, I'm glad you called in, and I'm glad you got the attention you wanted. I really wanted to have a real debate with you. That's why I did it. It's interesting.
Sure, you want to have a real debate, Alex. Sure. Just like he did the last time I called in to try to have a debate when he had his boyfriend Milo on, and I brought up Milo saying that, oh, yeah, Jews do run the banks. They do run the media, you know, and then Jones denies that. So I was going to say, well, Milo, why don't you tell Alex who runs things? And he says, thanks for your call. I appreciate your call. That's what he does every time. That's what he does to this caller about the tranny porn, too. He doesn't ever give people a chance to respond back to his claims. It's a disingenuous, like, cheating form of debate.
Yes. Yeah, and he'll cut you off like you exposed in your video. He'll just end the call, and that's it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Back to the explanation. Oh, yeah, let's rewind that and see his body language one more time. Also, wasn't there another lie there, too? Oh, yeah, he shakes his head and says, no, there was no porn on his thing, but then he admits that there was porn, and it was a pop-up because, and then he gives a few other explanations on why it was a pop-up, and then admits that he watches porn, but it wasn't, but, okay, I'll just watch it. Look at that face. He knows exactly what she's talking about. Whoever this is, great job calling in, too.
Yes.
I would love to call in, but I just cannot ever bring myself to listen that long.
Trans porn on your phone, Alex, or you were going to talk trans. And also, what about the trans porn on your phone, Alex, or you were going to talk about that?
Say that again?
Trans porn on your phone. That's all they keep talking about. And
you know, I saw a couple news articles about that. It's ridiculous. I was like looking up some...
How he goes, oh, I saw a couple news articles about that. Like he doesn't really know what it is. He's probably been sweating bullets and is more ashamed and embarrassed. Like he feels like his life. He's about probably suicidal over this, I would assume.
Or close to it, yeah. I posted a video on my Twitter last night or the night before, and I was hammering his Periscope chat about it, and a bunch of other people were too. Everybody wants answers on this, but he was freaking out. He's on edge about something. He's obviously on edge about something, and it's tranny because it's real. There's no Photoshop. It came directly from his show. It's 100% authentic.
That's another thing. He tries to spin it like exactly like my my impersonator guest that pretended to be Jones yesterday. Oh, it's the media. They're making it up. It's fake news. He says they blurred it out and it's not really porn and it was just a pop out. Like he gives like 15 different excuses, like just to throw every idea out he can. Just watch it.
Yeah.
Reporter we're trying to hire today and punched in some number.
So this is excuse number one. He punched in a number because a reporter.
Looking up some reporter we're trying to hire today and punched in some number and it popped up porn on my phone. Everybody's had porn pop up on their phones.
Has anybody just like tried to like punch in a few numbers and then just transgender porn just pops up in your browser and it just stays there? And then you take it on air?
Yeah, exactly. That was dumb, first off. And let me say that I have an iPhone. I always have. You don't get pop-ups on your iPhone. There is no such thing as a pop-up on your iPhone. And secondly, those are just tabs that he had pulled up. And it was a thumbnail of a video that he had selected of a gay transgender porn. It's also important to point out that it wasn't just transgender porn, because I've had people in my comments tell me, who cares if he's watching a chick with a dick have sex with another girl? That's not what it was. Even that's extremely weird in itself, but that's not what it was. It was a man like that with breast implants having sex with another man. So it just shows you how Hollywood he is. That's very perverted. There's something more going on there. And I think this whole thing is going to unravel. I think Charlie Sheen and all the rest of it's going to end up tying right into this. Yeah.
Also, remember, I left this out yesterday. The madam that ended up getting killed a long time ago, she came on Alex Jones's show too. So like, you know, when he was relatively small and not famous. So how did he, you know, it's just another dot that you can connect to the big picture. In the comments, I got a good comment from James Cowan. He says, the original video is up on his InfoWars servers, but the re-upload from his BitChute account, they edited out this part. So they knew right from the get-go what had happened and were trying to cover it up. So he's trying to pretend like, oh, I saw something about that in the news, which I showed all the headlines at the very beginning of yesterday's live stream. It's like Independent, Newsweek, New York Post, like all the mainstream media, all the YouTubers, all the people that are already exposing Jones in independent media as a Zionist shill are all over this. It's a huge story. And all of our speculation and our theories that he's blackmailed by some sort of like sexual, compromised position looks like it's totally true.
And also that he's a liar and a hypocrite. That's also important. He's a liar and a hypocrite.
Yeah.
And you guys need to realize that. And as this video shows, he has no problem lying to his cult member audience. He's psychopathically lying to their face. So yeah, go ahead and finish this and watch how easily.
He's very dishonorable and has no integrity.
Exactly.
And you can prove that a million different ways. Okay, here we go.
Hundreds of times, so I'm sitting there with a phone on air, showing it to everybody because I couldn't get a URL up in the studio, and then like.
So you can't get a URL up in the studio, so you had to search it on your phone, and you showed it in front of the camera. By it, he means the tranny porn. He showed it. He looks like he's really stressed right now if you tell his body language.
Big bags under his eyes.
Yeah. Look at his eyebrows.
Like, oh my God. And I looked at it. It wasn't, the news blurted out because there was nothing there. They blurred it to then say something was there. Then you went to it with some porn menu.
So it was blurred, but you could still go to it, and it was a porn menu. No, it wasn't a porn menu. It was a porn video. It was a video with the title, the exact thumbnail. It wasn't a pop-up. It was a video you click on. You Google porn, you click on the link, and the browser pops up, and then you left it on. Oh, and show me the thing about your phone. Remember, or you tell me how you said you turn it sideways and it shows all the browsers. And that must have been one of his most recent windows he had open. You said, right? So that was probably like this morning before he came into the office.
With an iPhone, this is what happens. Your tabs come up like this, and this is the most recent one. So it was a tab that he had pulled up. It's not a pop-up. iPhones don't get pop-ups. It's that simple, and his audience knows that. A bunch of his audience has iPhones, and they're going to want answers to this. And I also like how he says the mainstream. We were on this way before them. We had the video zoomed in and slowed out. We took it directly from his site, and
probably had
there is something there. It's the exact thumbnail. So.
Yeah, I just want to show this too. This claim into Jones tranny. Let's see if that comes up. Oh, come on! I just had this up yesterday.
The Michelle Obama thing. Let me make a comment about that real quick. That's interesting too, because he started to expose that, and then all of a sudden he flipped and he goes, I don't know, I don't know why we were saying that. She's not a transgender. So, and then he's since gone back to that way after it came out. But someone told him not to talk about that, and he went along with it.
Okay, so it looks like we're getting some noise. Okay, never mind. So this is the Independent article. I'm just trying to bring up some of these headlines. It was not blurred out. People were showing the thumbnail. You could clearly see it. Like you said, it was blown up.
Yeah.
What is this? I don't want to see. Crap. Watch, now I'm going to get a tranny pop-up. Talpiot's going to mess with me. No, Cox. Oh, close enough, right? Cox? Cox.com?
Yeah, it's tranny porn, gay tranny porn.
Okay, so yeah, look, Independent, they show the whole clip. They don't have it blurred out and it's not really that. He's making it seem like it's a complete lie when it's an absolute verifiable fact.
And watch him. He's just trying to zoom out. He's not trying to collapse the whole window.
Mm-hmm. He zooms out too much, and then it shows. There it is. Boom.
Right there, naughty T-babe.
Yeah, this is Independent. They didn't have it blurred out. Maybe just like the sexual parts. I censored the sexual parts on my YouTube. Okay,
I didn't, but
you didn't. Yeah, I know. I was like, oh, you're gonna get in trouble. You just showed a little blip of it, though.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, we'll get through. Oh, we're almost through it, guys. There's a few more lies. There's so many lies packed into such little time that you have to pause it and give it context.
Times on my phone. So
let's
you went to it with some porn menu. I probably had porn menus pop up 500 times on my phone. So I appreciate your call. I mean,
I'm surprised he didn't say 6 million times. He should have been like, porn was up 6 million times on my phone. And then I appreciate your call. Like he really appreciated that call. Whenever he says I appreciate your call, that's his code for this guy's get him off. They're busting me.
Wait, finish what he says here.
Yeah.
Because this next part's great.
porn menus pop up 500 times on my phone. So I appreciate your call. I mean, it's insane, ladies and gentlemen. There's two types of people that look at porn and people that lie about it. But I wasn't looking at porn on my.
So he's lying about it. There's he's all over the place. He says a statement and then completely contradicts himself in the very next statement.
And it's also insane. That's another NLP. That's also another subconscious. He'll keep repeating that. It's just insane. It's fake news. It's insane. No, it's not. It's fact.
Does he call it fake news at all? Because that would be hilarious. Because the guy last night, Eric Jackman, who did the spoof call, what he kept saying. Everything, it was fake news. In a Soros Chicom plot.
Looking at porn on my phone. I don't take phones on air that I look at porn on. People that lie about it.
Okay, here we go.
So I appreciate your call. I mean, it's insane, ladies and gentlemen. There's two types of people that look at porn and people that lie about it. But I wasn't looking at porn on my phone. I don't take phones on air that I look at porn on.
So he does look at porn. He has a secret porn phone that he doesn't bring on air, that he just keeps in his drawer next to his bed, I guess, or in his office. Right? I mean, like, right. He's giving such, that's another telltale sign of a lie. They try to give too much information, too much of a backstory. He gave like 5 explanations already. It was plugging in numbers to hire somebody because it wouldn't come up, the URL wouldn't come up on my computer in the studio. And then it was a pop-up from porn because you either watch porn or you're lying about it, but I don't watch porn, and I don't watch porn on that phone. It's just like, how many lies are in here? 50 lies?
Doesn't make sense either. Typing in numbers to hire an employee, what does that even mean?
Yeah, punching in numbers like a monkey to hire an employee, like, ooh, it's bad.
Yeah.
And so I saw all that. I didn't respond to it. I mean, if I respond to half the attacks on me,
I didn't even respond to it. I'm just too much above that. You know, it's a non-story. The tranny porn's a non-story, guys. It's just fake news. You don't even need to respond to it. Do you feel bad for him at all?
You know, not him, because number one, he did it to himself. That was his own dumbass mistake. It's not like someone went through and hacked his phone or anything like that. He left it up there like an idiot. But who I do feel, and he deserves this. He's a psychopathic a propagandist that is. I like to describe InfoWars as a tree that bears poisonous fruit. The fruit looks delicious on the surface, but you eat it and you ultimately die from it. That's what InfoWars is, and that's what he's doing. He's bearing poisonous fruit for people. So I don't feel bad for him at all. Who I do feel bad for are his kids, because that is their father, and imagine how much they're going to end up hearing about this. So his kids, I do feel bad for. Him, no.
Yeah, me too. I mean, he's got to be the most embarrassing thing imaginable. Like, he was just being smeared like more than any person in like modern history, getting him banned and deplatformed off of everything. And this smear campaign has been building up for years and years. You know, you and me have been known about Alex Jones and saw his rise, his incredible rise to where he's at now, such a prominent figure in politics. And then now it's just like the harder they rise, like the bigger they are, the harder they fall, man. He's just coming down so hard. And I got to say, I love it, because he's a terrible, terrible liar, propagandist. He's worse than the mainstream media, because he's giving you more truth and he's pretending to actually be honest, but he's really even being worse of a more deceptive liar. He's the, what is it? The wolf in the hen house, or
wolves in sheep's clothing.
Judas
It's
Goat.
Not, yeah, Judas Goat or Mind War operative. That's what he is. He's a military intelligence operation to weaponize the truth. And that's what they've done with him, just like the John Birchers did. It's the same framework, and they're just weaponizing the truth, which is disgusting and extremely deceptive.
Yeah, you know, I remember in our last interview we were talking about Florida and like what is it? Advanced. I want to say Chi-Coms, but Advanced Secret Command or something at Florida that he's connected to.
Special Operations Command.
Special Operations Command. He said this on air to George Norrie and stuff. You've covered it in our videos on our last interview. But also remember, Joe Biggs is from Florida and is in military.
Well, and not only that, he's from Fort Bragg, and he started off in an armored division. And Fort Bragg's where this JFK Special Warfare Center is, and that's exactly who the creator of Mind War came out of. Fort Bragg started off in an armored division and ultimately graduated through the JFK Psychological Warfare Center there. So, and if I have clips of him talking about how many of his employees are ex-military or current military, it's over half of them. So those people have an allegiance, but you can hammer his other crewmates, Savannah Hernandez, Owen Schroyer, who I think is under some forms of mind control. But there's all kinds of people there who you can just keep hitting them with facts, and they're behind the scenes there. And they can actually make a difference there. And I think ultimately some of those employees are going to end up exposing him. As your great video with his ex-employees, that's all going to come back to bite him in the ass, because the way he rages and the way he treats his employees, works them like mules, doesn't seem like he has a lot of respect for them. That's going to all come back to him, in my opinion.
Yeah. I imagine he's just a monster behind the scenes.
Yeah. Definitely has anger issues.
Oops, yeah.
Respond to half the attacks on me. I didn't respond to it. I mean, if I respond to half the attacks on me, it'll but then it's ridiculous. But I'll say this. The Amazon ads, the Viagra ads, the weird non-plastic bag ads are taking my iPhone over. iPhones didn't used to be that bad like Androids.
There he goes. He's implying that they did hack it. Apple and the Chi-Coms hacked his phone and planted it on there. That would have been a better lie. I bet you his audience would have gulped that one down, swallowed that one better. Alex, you should hire me as an advisor, man. I could have got you out of this crisis management.
That was a blunder. You're right. He should have gone with something much smarter than that.
The Chi-Coms and Apple, and they got the factories over there, and they definitely they saw in real time with the satellites that I had my phone in front of the camera, and they injected it in there. The bots got in there, and
that would have been way better, Alex.
They would have ate that up. But plenty of his employees cult members have iPhones, and they know that's not how it works. So that was a huge blunder there, Alex.
Yep. Too many lies. This is somebody else was covering this one. Maybe this isn't it.
All through a freaking garden hose.
Oh yeah, let's watch this. This is Alex Jones talking a little mix that here Chris Lapaco, the king of earned media, made. It's a minute and a half. We can watch the whole thing. Can you hear the audio right now?
Yeah, let me just say something real fast.
Go ahead.
This is that night where he was saying Trump was sucked a black ding dong, I believe was what his words were, and who Roger Stone is. Obviously, Roger Stone's heavily connected to blackmail, just like Roy Cohn was, blackmail operations. So he admitted there that Trump likes black men, and I've done videos in the past where all these guys are homosexuals. Kay Griggs exposed that in the military. It's a giant mind control homosexual cult at the highest levels there. Not everybody in there, but there's a lot of homosexuality that goes on there, and that's a great tool of blackmail for some John Wayne, someone who markets himself as a John Wayne type of guy. John Wayne's not sitting there watching gay tranny porn. Sorry.
Yeah, and Jones it's almost always been giving us these hints. Like he goes to Bohemian Grove and they were whistling at him and trying to pinch him in the butt, and he says he goes to Hollywood and they're all into the occult and they're all sexual and the producers want to get on you, which we know is definitely true. And even Terry Crews, the big buff black guy, got assaulted by a producer in Hollywood. But
and you don't get to where Jones is at unless you're being involved in that.
That's what Isaac Cappy says. That's what Isaac Cappy's saying, and that's what even Alex Jones has said before, that everybody in power, it's all like pedophile blackmail rings. Yeah. So he just has been in on it the whole time and not telling us maybe. Yeah, I mean, do you think what in your mind? What's the percentage chance that like he really does have a fetish for tranny porn? Like, how certain are you?
Oh, 100%. You wouldn't. I mean, who thinks about watching that unless you're in? I mean, and I think you typically only watch porn that you've experienced in your life. At least that's how it was for me. I don't watch it anymore. I think it's a weakness. It's an addiction, and it's a Jewish industry that was set up, in their own words, to destroy Western society. But why would you watch that unless you've experienced that and it does something for you? You know, there's it's not a pop-up. He was definitely watching that. Yeah, there you go. That's what the porn industry is, and it's disgusting how they treat the women in it as well. It's just a nasty industry, and when you look into all that stuff, you don't want to watch it anymore because you don't want to, you know. So
exactly. Totally agree. And it reminds me, you know, the article about the Jewish actress that had her agent told her to change her name because because Hollywood is Jewish and all the Jewish producers like to hire shiksas, like the white European prostitutes, essentially. That's kind of how this industry works. You look at Germany and like Berlin, right? The burlesque prostitution stuff going on there.
Yeah,
Sodom and Gomorrah.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't there Sabbatean and Frankists who believe that like you can get to salvation through sin, or like, you know, the Messiah will come if they commit sins and stuff?
That's exactly what the Sabbatean Frankists are, and that's a great good thing to look into, because that's what modern Judaism is for the most part, and that's who infiltrated the Vatican, were Sabbatean Frankists, and completely took that over. So it's all tied in. Those are the Jews that took over the Vatican. You know, so. Yeah, that it's redemption through sin. Let me give a shout out to a book, Robert Seffer, 1666, Redemption Through Sin. It's great. I've done some videos on it based off that book, and it's just packed full of awesome information about that. And that's an important topic that's not discussed that much. But also on the trafficking of white women, I just want to mention this real quick. The Russian Jewish, because they're all Jewish, these Jewish mafia, Israeli Jewish, they traffic these beautiful European women from Russia and Ukraine, promise them, it's a disgusting industry, promise them, you know, some housekeeping job or to be a ballerina or a dancer or something, and then they end up working a whorehouse in Israel that the police don't care about. They just, because slavery is legal there. And it's a disgusting industry that's not talked about. And I think a documentary needs to be made about that. So if anybody's out there that has some money, look into that topic and please get that out there, because that is just not discussed. The white slave trade today is completely in full effect.
Times of Israel. Thousands of slaves in Israel, global study finds.
And they don't get paid, and they ultimately get killed. They're just used and abused until there's nothing left, and then they kill them. And they don't get paid anything. You know, they give them food and cigarettes, and that's it, and drugs. And the pimps are making like $1 million a week.
We will have 4 kids driving
per
in 4
brothel.
years, so
I mean, it's
I need
just
some help.
It's horrible.
Tell them no highways, no.
Sorry, I'm trying to X that out. Yeah, and also there's articles. I'm not going to go get them all now because I got so many tabs open, but saying that Jews around the world that get into sex crimes, they're able to flee to Israel and they escape the charges. And Israel and human are okay. This is I didn't want to close that one. All right, let's play this little video. This 1 minute. Alex Jones. This is great.
I never sucked any ding-dongs. And who cares? Hey, I sucked a golf ball through a freaking garden hose. The son of a bitch walked in there in my own office when I'd splattered stuff on myself and I was changing shirts. He goes, "Oh, that's a good shot. Let's get your shirts." And then I go, "Hey, have some of this chicken and sausage." So technically I said, Jones offered me his sausage. Yeah, give me a break, you son of a bitch. I like women, not men. And if I like men, I'd be proud of it. I'd have a line of them. But I ain't ever been in bed with no man. I've been in bed with probably 300 women. And you sons of bitches sit there and you play these games, and I'm sick of it. So, That said, ladies and gentlemen, I don't want to get killed here by
Owen's
some...
like, what is Alex? I've so many times, whenever there's a guest with Alex and he starts ranting crazy, I feel so bad for the guests. Gucciardi, Aaron Dykes.
Well,
Owen
you know,
Schroeder. Yeah.
Gucciardi's most likely a homosexual. Comes from a very wealthy family. There's some information out there on him.
Paul Joseph Watson. I've heard rumors about Watson too. I've seen him photoed up very close and personal with Colin Robertson, who is like Tommy Robinson's photographer, also Lauren Southern's, and he's gay too. When Ezra, he's the one that made the video exposing Ezra Levant as a litigious, corrupt, shady Zionist business owner, and with secret recordings and stuff. And Ezra just rubbed it in like he's gay, like over and over again. But so Paul Joseph Watson also has had dinner with Matt Drudge, a secret dinner with Matt Drudge before, and Matt Drudge is also openly gay, I believe. I've seen it like covers of magazines and stuff.
If you go through the Trump movement, it seems like a lot of these people are openly gay. The left, Peter Thiel, all those guys. There's a bunch of them, and
Milo coming to the studio and flirting and going out and having drinks and stuff.
Talking about how he likes young boys and how he was molested and it was a good thing and all that stuff. And the left wants to say that this is just a white supremacist movement, Nazi movement, which is ridiculous. This is one of the most inclusive, unifying type movements I've ever seen of promoting homosexuality, of promoting transgenderism, all this stuff.
Gavin McInnes making out with Milo.
Yeah, and
doing a hardcore French kiss.
Yeah.
All right, back to this. It's only got like another 20 seconds. It's just hilarious. It just shows, though, like where his mind goes and what's really going on in his mind. Okay, full screen. Boom.
CIA head team. I'm not going to release stuff that isn't already out, but I mean, there's no video of President Trump sucking a ding dong. And so what if there was? Trump
he just admitted
cock. That's a lot better than World War III, Owen. I never sucked any ding dongs.
Sure.
I don't know. This is all really disturbing. Like,
it is. Let me get into some of the prostitutes surrounding Alex. Like we've talked about with Charlie Sheen and Amanda Bruce. That's how they met each other. And there's a good chance Millie Weaver, this isn't something that's talked about too much, was an escort herself, like Alex Jones's current wife was. Verified on Sugar Nights, that was her. Traveled all over the world. Was most likely a CIA asset, in my opinion. But Millie Weaver was an insta hooker type of deal, where she was through a website called Model Mayhem, and part of something called the Hollywood Girls Club. But this
like
Model
a sorority,
Mayhem,
like a YouTube sorority that looked like a total front for something else in Hollywood, which we know goes on.
How are they making their money? Because it's very expensive to live there, and they weren't getting any gigs, so they were making their money somehow. And if you look at Model Mayhem and all the complaints about it, it's basically just a front for hookers, to put themselves out there and get clients. She was also in this relationship or trying to get this green card for this very wealthy Turkish guy. It's something of the sort. If you go on, there's a Hollywood gossip thing, and people should research that a little bit. She was trying to get a green card for this very wealthy guy connected to Cyprus. So I think there's a lot more there if people are willing to dig into that one a little bit.
Yeah. Also, I hate to do this. I feel bad, but this is stuff that's just there's rumors online also about that I believe have been basically confirmed by Alex Jones's ex-wife about Alex Jones's new wife and her being like some form of like a masseuse or like a kind of like a escort type yoga instructor. Have you heard about
she was
that?
a yoga. Yeah, Erica Wolf Jones. Let me get into her a little bit. She was an escort. I mean, you can still look at her Sugar Nights page. That's how Jones finds these women. I'm pretty sure I have clips of him talking about all the prostitutes in his life and whatever. She went to college in Seattle, the University of Washington, heavily communist university. And she went to school for She went to the School of Comparative History and Ideas department at the University of Washington. There's a professor, Jonathan Taves, very communist. Everybody there's communist, but I think she was an asset, and I think Jones has connections to both sides, as you pointed out with Soros. Trump deals with Soros. Mnuchin deals with Soros. What's his name? The kid. I can't believe his name's slipping my mind right now. The Antichrist, Kushner. Working with Soros.
Yeah,
So
Jones is always complaining. Jones is always complaining about Soros, but Trump has literally said before to a crowd of people, "Oh, leave Soros alone. He's got enough problems." And the business ties with Trump and with Kushner going back decades, very close business ties.
And Mnuchin.
And Jones has admitted on air before too that Soros is a front for the Rothschilds, and he's spun something that like the Rothschilds are abandoning Israel, and it's the UN that wants to take over the holy city and install an antichrist, and the Arabs are gonna blow up the Dome of the Rock, like completely everything twisted truth, like an inversion of all the facts. His whole narrative is false because he omits the most important part, which is the Zionist, Jewish power, Israeli aspect.
That's the mind war operative. That's the mind war. It's not Psy war, it's mind war, and that's weaponizing the truth. 9/11 was an inside job, but it was, it was Saudi Arabians. It's leaving out the crucial aspects of the truth. It's poisonous fruit. That's what InfoWars puts out.
Yep. Jones also had the connections to the Madam, the DC Madam. Roger Stone has connections to, that was the one that got murdered. Stone has connections to the new Madam that is being investigated by Mueller, as well as Nexium, as well as the Swinger scandal, the Roy Cohn stuff, the Wayne Madsen article saying about blackmail escort rings run by Israelis in New York that Stone is a part of. I mean, how much more facts do people need before they're going to get this?
Yeah, and by the way, that Madams in New York there, who exposed Spitzer, I believe, her son calls Roger Grandpa. I mean, so that's how close he is with this industry.
Yeah, he's a libertine. Yeah, he's got a tattoo of another man across his back.
Richard Nixon of all people.
Roy Cohn was well known for being gay and in the Jewish mob, and being have a fancy for young blonde-haired little boys.
Yep,
like Roger Stone
or Donald Trump, young blonde man. And if you look into Fred Trump, and he pretty much prostituted his son out, in my opinion. And then Roy Cohn was also a John Bircher. So there you go. And they called themselves libertarians back then, staunchly homophobic, which is kind of the transgender thing of today, back then in comparison. So it's just history repeating itself. It's the same old stuff that they're recycling, and people are falling for it because it's weaponizing the truth. Everybody knew about the mainstream media. That it's like Mike Pence said during the VP debate. These aren't the old days. You can't just say whatever you want and people believe it. There has to be aspects of the truth in there to rope those people in. And then once you rope them in, you start programming their subconscious. You got them. You got them on the hook. And then you can weaponize both sides. And my opinion, what's going on here is the left and the right are going to get to a point where they're creating mass psychosis on both sides with this cognitive dissonance. This version of schizophrenia of having these two beliefs at the same time, and both sides are going to get so ridiculous where people are going to flee to the middle.
It's extreme polarization and extremism, and they're all getting separated into their own echo chambers.
Yep.
And it's getting more hostile, and there could be planning some form of like a civil war or race war or economy collapse. People are always fear-mongering and saying that and, being sensational, but it is a reality that something like that could happen. And that's why Trump would be the right guy to have into office. If the people in power, the puppeteers, want that to happen, Trump could be, if you look at American politics like a movie and a script, you have the good guys and the bad guys. In wrestling, you got the villain and the hero. So maybe they just wanted a villain for this act. And that's why Trump is in. It's not, well, we could have had Hillary and it would have been worse. It's like, that doesn't work anymore. Trump's in. And you got to criticize him, even if he's doing some good things. You can't hold back the truth about how he's completely controlled by Jewish interests. And it's not even a secret. It's everywhere. All you have to do is just open your eyes and look at the facts.
Yeah, shove Adams Banksta's Paradise video down every magatard's throat. I mean, anybody on that side, just completely shove that video down their throat, because you can't argue with those. You can't argue with the facts there. Those aren't patriots. Those are globalists, you know? And people are just unaware. Like Jones said in that call, everybody knows Sheldon Adelson funded Trump. No, they don't. Nobody knows
he
that
never
on that
mentions
side.
it. He talks about Soros every day, but he straight up will say and lie and say Trump did it all on his own. He didn't have any billionaires help, and he's his own man with his own ideas, and he has no influence. He was ran by like the whole Jewish coalition. All of his funders, like the Trump for president, all the guys that ran that are all like the PNAC 9/11 Zionist circles.
Well, that's another thing I want to point out. PNAC. He's literally finishing PNAC down to weaponizing space. That was in that document too. Everything he's doing is heavily PNAC associated. It's the same people, as you said.
Space Force is Israel Force. It's Israel. Exactly. They're going to get it in. Brennan O'Connell's always talking about Israel's taking over in tech, and then I learn about it. I make Who Runs the Internet, and Israel is a technological superpower. A couple videos. And it's just like overwhelming. And now all I hear is Alex Jones every day saying China's taking over Silicon Valley, and they're taking over the world, and they run Apple and they run Google. And it's like, no, they don't. That's a complete lie. Netanyahu brags that all of the R&D are over there, and Intel is basically an Israeli company, and all the Microsoft and Apple has their R&D there. Wozniak wants a world currency. I mean, just makes me sick, the disinfo.
Talpiot's China-Israel page is wonderful. I mean, that's all you need there. Just share that with them. They're just uninformed for the most part.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you mentioned, here's some of the videos we just mentioned. Banksta's Paradise, Who Runs the Internet, Israel, the high-tech superpower. Those are the ones that I was just referring to. All right, let's get into your video, Alex Jones, Psychopath, and some of what came out in his court case with some of the expert therapists there. So, close that one. Is Alex Jones a psychopath?
Let's put it this way. I was training to become a psychopath, and I failed. I did not complete the training. I didn't become a psychopath.
So we're going to play like the first little segment of this. It's 7 minutes, and then you guys could go. I'll put the link in the description, and you can finish the rest. But this is really well done editing. It's the expert laying out what it means to be a psychopath, and then Alex Jones just fitting the description to an absolute T.
Be honorable. Crush the snakes under your feet. Get behind me, Satan. Now, before I go any further, we got to fund this operation. We got the very best nutraceuticals out there. I don't know if I can run this for another week or so. We want to run it through the end of the month, but that's like 11 days because I don't want it to sell out before more gets in. X2, the good halogen, 20% off, InfoWarsLife.com, InfoWarsLife.com, InfoWarsLife.com.
The psychopath's relations with others are superficial, surface, very, very little depth. Mostly style over substance. And the idea is to impress other individuals, to somehow put them in a position where you can manipulate them and so forth.
I'm pissed off at the globalists. I'm pissed off at the political class. I'm tired of their crap. They all need to go to prison. So there's fear in these people. I'm sick of them. Dr. Pachenik, what do you make of the intel I just dumped on you? I know you have a lot of your own sources, but what do you make of that?
First of all, I thought you were going to call me up to see how I was because I have been in the middle
skip through this a little bit.
I feel like Pachenik was being a little bit of a whiny baby on that one. But this reminds me of, there's a compilation of Alex Jones. It says, I think Vice did it, and it's like, I'm not bragging, but you could beat up 5 guys at one time. I'm not bragging, but I'm the smart. I have a photographic memory. Yeah,
that's in here. You skip to in the middle a little bit.
Yeah, okay.
Just skip past the Pachenik part because this part's long.
Okay. Yeah. Pachinik gives him, who is a psychologist, kind of breaks him down and expose. Who I don't understand the relationship with Pachinik and Jones. Like, do you think he's his handler? You think Pachinik is good? What's your take on him, real quick?
No, Pachinik is about as insider as you could possibly get. He's a handler, and these are the type of people behind the scenes that I think completely twist and manipulate Jones, and he has no idea they're even doing it. But these people own Jones, in my opinion. This is an operator, in my opinion. He's behind the scenes, really, really operating this operation here. I think he's dumped money into it, got funds into this, and really built InfoWars up to what it is. People like Dr. Pachinik. He's on a whole nother level. The guy was writing full-length musicals when he was 8 years old. I mean, just a whole nother level of super genius. And like you said, a psychology. They know what they're doing.
He never used to show his face, and then he came out like just during the Trump election and started making videos and like, we're having a coup, and it's the military, the good people in the military. So, and Alex Jones has said the same thing. So we literally have a Zionist coup, military takeover. With Chabad Lubavitch, with Israel, with Russia, really did. I mean, they didn't hijack the election, but they definitely influenced the election.
And if you look at people like Pachinik and all these military people, they're heavily associated with Russia. And then you dig into what the Russian connection is. It's the Jewish mafia, Israel and Russia. It's this presidency is being dictated from the East. So the things that are coming out of the left, not all of it's false, but again, there's half truths in there, but this is all being dictated from the East. So this is a faction of the military that's heavily connected to, like Pachinik worked in the Soviet Union, and did a lot of stuff there. And if you look into all these people behind the scenes, the guy who wrote the Mind War, associated with the Soviet Union. So.
All right, here we'll get through.
Form which was not created by globalists or the CIA. And trees have been coming down, power lines.
Psychopath lacks empathy, and this simply means that it's very difficult or impossible for a psychopath to put himself inside the emotional skin of somebody else. They may understand at some sort of superficial level that this person is going through what could be construed as an emotion by other people, but I don't understand what it is. This is a psychopath's position.
Truth is, I'm extremely vicious. I mean, I don't have any fear. I'm not bragging. It's weird, actually. I wish I had fear. It's almost like, where are the nerve endings? Where is it?
Poor behavioral controls is another characteristic that defines a psychopath. These are individuals who are likely to lose their temper very easily, to strike out and do things that are fairly irrational in the short term, but they do it in a very controlled manner. They know what they're doing. There could be a reaction to frustration and so forth.
You know, Morgan, I will literally beat the hell out of you and Buzz Bissinger. I tell you what, let's go further. Andy Kaufman would do this. I'll fight the ambassador's daughter who said she wants to kill me too on the show. Buzz Bissinger, so 2 women. I'll fight her, Buzz Bissinger, and you, Morgan. I'm serious. I will go in that ring and I will demolish all 3 of you within 3 rounds. I guarantee you. I will annihilate you within 3 rounds. Guaranteed, cowards. All 3 of you. I'm serious. In the ring, I will come in there and...
To his defense, they did laugh and joke about shooting him, so I would want to kill them too. Just doing that on CNN, that could get him murdered by some crazy liberal. But at the same time, he challenges everybody to fights and brags about how he's such a good fighter and he always got in fights and he almost killed guys.
You want a funny story? Look up Alex Jones parking lot incident. He got his ass whooped one time, and it was a bunch of people saw it. So if you ever want something funny to watch, listen to Alex Jones parking lot incident. It's hilarious.
Yeah, I've heard about that.
Stomp the hell out of all of you, including your tart. Because she wants to talk about how she wants me dead and everything. Well, get in the ring with me, you wench.
A psychopath is also a grandiose individual, has a very powerful sense of self, believes that he or she is the center of the universe, better, smarter than everybody else.
I'm not bragging. It's just that I didn't believe in Santa Claus at 2.5, and nobody had to tell me. And I'm not bragging. I mean, it's a fact, folks. I can think 50 levels up, okay? I got tricks up my sleeve, and I'm not bragging. You think you're Machiavelli? I got tricks 1,000 times more vicious. The problem is I don't want to release the stuff.
Hold on, that was like an evil character. I have plans 1,000 times more vicious. He really is psychopathic tendencies. And what Alex, you know, some people say, oh, he's just a performance actor. This is all an act. I believe Alex Jones's wife. This is actually toned down from real life. And obviously a little bit of it is theater for entertainment value. But this is like, I think the theater and the actor has actually consumed him as a character. And he's like become into some like, you know, like, what did you say? Multiple personalities almost.
It appears that he has multiple personalities, and one of them, which is a common trait of a mind control slave, but one of them for sure is a psychopathic type personality.
Yeah. All right.
Listen, I'm not bragging.
A psychopath doesn't accept responsibility for his or her own behavior. Usually, diffusion of responsibility is the name of the game for the psychopath. Somebody else maybe do it. Wasn't my fault. It was fate, and I'm not really responsible.
I was on one radio station. I've been on Access TV for a few years. I was on one radio station. I already started a show out of my house that was on like 15 radio stations, so I had that at least. But I was on one big radio station, had the top show at night, on a station with Howard Stern. It was killer. It was all over the newspaper, had huge ratings. And I was bringing in like, 20, 30 grand a month, which was just a huge amount for me, building a whole operation out of that at home. And they come to the sales guys and they go, look, for a year, you've not been behind Y2K, and you're not letting us have all these big sponsors, and you're going to basically be fired if you don't let us endorse these sponsors and have them on air and say you believe in Y2K.
Hold on a second. So these sponsors were like doomsday stuff, like canned food and shit? And
bunkers and everything else. So,
So, you know, this was William Cooper, way back in the day, had exposed Jones, and he was just totally vindicated. All the critics of Jones have essentially been totally vindicated, but Jones is admitting all his hysteria on Y2K was all just to sell. So why would you believe anything he ever has to say the rest of his career? Of his start of his career, he was already sold his soul for the shekels.
And it wasn't his fault, like you saw there. The radio station made him do it. So, I mean, either it wasn't your fault, either you run yourself or the radio station's running you. I mean, everything's a contradiction with him.
Yeah.
I already believe in food
so they
stuff
gotta
in
push
case there's a problem.
Y2K.
But
You
let
gotta
me
push
tell you what happened.
Y2K means...
But the station wants to make all this money. Okay?
So the station made you push Y2K.
The psychopath is also very manipulative, tends to manipulate, con, and deceive other people to try and mold them into something that they can use. Remember, the psychopath is really a predator, and as a predator, you're trying to groom and put your prey in the right position for where you can make some use of this particular object, is the way they would see them.
I'm going to get on the phone today, and I'm going to call some of the folks that have offered a lot of money, and I'm going to just say, because there's no strings attached anyways, but I'm going to say, listen, this is about all of us. I need a lot of money. And by the way, I don't just need...
There's no strings attached. Yeah, whenever people just offer you a lot of money for no strings attached, he expects us to buy that. Like, it's pretty insulting, right? You know, people that have followed Jones for a long time, like, how stupid does he think his audience is that he's going to be able just to completely flip his narrative and change the story and go back on everything that he used to stand for?
Right, and thank God there's people like you and I out there that are exposing this to those who are just coming into it now.
Yeah,
you know,
people
there
that
needs
just get
to be
into
people...
Alex Jones now. They're like, oh, he's pretty good. He's better than I like him more than Hannity. You know, he's a little crazy, but oh well. Like, they don't even know at all what the old Jones. Before, when I was still like on info when they were still on YouTube, I would argue with people in the chat in the comments, and they would always be like, oh, you're a conspiracy. You think 9/11's an inside job. You're a conspiracy theorist. I'm like, whoa, that's Alex's new audience now. It's come a long way.
Yeah, it has.
Oh, wait, we almost did the whole thing. We might as well just finish it. It goes by quick. I've only watched it once, so I'm interested in it.
Need that $500,000 or that $50,000 you offered. I need you to understand, unless you want to evacuate the U.S., I need everything you can give us.
Most psychopaths are not criminals. It's estimated that between 1% and 2% of the general adult male population are psychopaths, which means there could be as many as 600,000 in Canada alone. They could be your neighbor, your boss, your friend, or your spouse. Hare considers them society's most dangerous individuals. His diagnostic checklist measures 20 key personality characteristics which reveal psychopathic traits: egocentric, lacking remorse, guilt, and empathy, deceitful, glib, and shallow. Hare's checklist scores those characteristics on a scale from 0 to 40.
The average score in the population might be 1 or 2. The average score in prisons is about 20, 21, and we use 30 out of 40 as a convenient threshold for defining psychopathy. Now that's very, very high, and that's light years away from the average person.
People like Ted Bundy, who are really smart, become governors. They become Fox News hosts, CNN hosts.
Oh, I'm so glad I let that finish to the end, because it's so true, Alex. Just like he tells you all the time, you know, and you always hear at a metaphysical level they have to tell you what they're doing. Alex Jones tells you everything that he's doing to you.
Absolutely. And today's a perfect example of him addressing the gay trans porn thing, of how easy it is for him to lie to his cult members. He has no problem completely deceiving you guys. So it's time to wake up. It's time to expose who this guy really is and get out of that movement, because he's a prime example of what that movement is. It's a wolf in sheep's clothing.
Yep. We talked a little bit earlier, I think, about... Oh, shoot, that's the wrong one.
You're watching No More News.
Sorry, guys. Here's a Rolling Stone article, what came out in his trial. During the trial, Jones posted a video saying he slept with 150 women before he was 16 years old. And so we were talking about how he's a sex addict. He very likely has a sex addiction. Also, I've heard a lot of stuff about him being an alcoholic too. That's what his wife says. Oh, yeah. You know, we've seen him wasted on air. At the inauguration, he was like stuttering and didn't end up showing up at the ball at the end of the night like he was supposed to speak, I believe.
Joe Rogan also recently called him an alcoholic too, or said he definitely likes to drink a lot and that a good couple hours of his show is drunk, which is accurate. You know, he's pulling out that styrofoam cup, that's whiskey. You know, he sits there and pounds whiskey. Yeah. When he's on air.
Yeah, and we're not like celebrating in the, you know, the demons of another person, right. But he just needs to get help, come clean, and start being honest. Tell us who is keeping you blackmailed, Alex. Tell the world, be the real hero.
He never will. It'll never happen because they'll kill him or whatever. The amount of damage that he's done to society, it's just overwhelming. It'll never come out with him. I don't think he'll ever flip around. He'll do this to you know, until he retires or he dies or whatever. I think he's going to end up getting killed by a leftist, whether it's real or not. I think something like that's going to end up happening with him eventually.
I wouldn't be surprised. You know, right. The movie of Alex Jones has been a very, very fascinating, interesting one. Like, you know, of all the figures in American politics, he's definitely quite a character. And he's it's just getting crazy. I mean, think about like him getting censored from all of the internet, essentially. Like, that's almost makes him one of the most famous people right now in America to be the most censored. And then at just this timing comes out the Tranny-gate stuff. And that's why we're talking about it, because we're not just going to let this slip by, and his 15 different lies about it being, you know, the media lying about it, or a pop-up, or punching in numbers, or everybody looks at porn but he doesn't, and he looks at porn on another phone, and what was your question again? I didn't hear you. It's just lie. Got to come clean, Alex. You're not fooling everybody. Okay. 1 hour, 1 minute. Perfect. Time to wrap it up. Matthew North, thank you so much for joining me. Got your YouTube or your Twitter up on the screen at Matthew North 369, and your YouTube. Oh, that's my YouTube. No More News. Like, share, give us a thumbs up. Hashtag Trannygate. Help us get this to around social media and share with your friends. Thank you to Patreon supporters for making videos like this possible. And Matthew North's YouTube also has a lot of good information about Jones. Also check out the interview we did, and not just Jones, but a lot of other topics as well. What are you working on right now? What's your project again you're coming out with?
I'm kind of working on the origins of the Mind War Operative and the military people who I believe are behind the Trump movement and their documents, and then the people who are behind the left's origins too, and ultimately, like I was saying earlier, how these both sides are going to become so ridiculous that people are going to flee to the middle, and the whole Brave New World order agenda that's coming out of it, the fourth world. So I might end up doing a show on that or a video. I'm not sure yet, but there's a ton of information I'm digging into right now that I think is pertinent and that people need to hear. So I'll get that out as soon as I can.
Okay. All right. Thanks again, Matt, for coming on to stay on the line a second.
Yeah.
I'm going to read 2 quick super chats and then close it out. Thank you, y'all. Some anti-Semites in Shiit fool. LOL, just playing from the juice. Tom S., great work, guys. Keep it up. Thanks, everybody, for watching. I'm Adam Green, No More News with Matthew North. Like I said, get this shared around. #TrainingGate, #GDL. Everybody take care. Thanks for watching.
Thanks, guys.